thought I had gotten used to loneliness. My husband's work kept him away for weeks at a time, and it had become a routine for me. But lately something felt different. The silence in the house was becoming more unsettling, and every night as I tried to fall into a deep sleep, a strange unease washed over me. It was as if something or someone was watching me. My only comfort was Rex, my loyal German shepherd. If it weren't for him, I might have lost my mind. But even his behavior had changed recently. He started doing things he had never done before, like staring into my eyes as if he wanted to say something, though I couldn't figure out what. One night, he began scratching at my bedroom door. At first, I thought it was just because he didn't want to be alone. When I opened the door, he curled up beside me and stayed by my side until morning. The presence of a big dog beside me in such a restless state felt odd, but I shrugged it off. However, it soon became a nightly occurrence. Just as I was about to fall asleep, Rex would go to the door, listening intently, barking as though there was something there, then return to my side, silently waiting again. One night I took him to the kitchen, gave him water, took him outside, and brought him back in. But his eyes were still fixed on the door. I tried to convince myself it was just a dog being a dog, but the unease inside me only grew. That night when I lay in bed, Rex nestled up to me whining. This time, a strange feeling crept up on me. Dogs can sense danger, right? So what was Rex sensing? I turned in bed, unable to sleep, and in the middle of the night, I was startled by his growl. I turned on the light, and the room was empty, but he was staring at a point in the corner of the wall, a blank space. What was there? An indescribable fear flooded me. I took a step back. Rex's ears were perked up, his eyes wide, and his fur was standing on end. Then I saw the doorknob move slightly. Was someone there, or were my eyes just playing tricks on me? I don't know. But what I do know is that everything changed that night. After that night, the atmosphere in the house felt different. I could sense something was wrong, but I couldn't find a rational explanation. Maybe I was tired. Maybe loneliness was playing tricks on me. But Rex, was he hallucinating too? For the next few nights, the same thing happened again. At exactly midnight, Rex would get up, move toward the door, and listen, growling softly at a spot. At first, I didn't think much of it, but as the nights went on, it became more pronounced. One night, as I lay in bed holding my phone, I noticed Rex get up at exactly 2:08 a.m. He walked toward the door and stood there, ears alert, waiting. After this happened several nights in a row, I realized there was a pattern. But the most terrifying moment came one night. My eyelids were about to droop, and Rex was lying next to me, as restless as ever. His ears suddenly perked up, and he leapt up, every muscle coiled. I found myself holding my breath without even trying. The dog crept silently towards the door, low and quiet, but with eyes watching. Then he did something I never would have expected. He placed his paws against the door and tried to push. For a moment, I was holding my breath. "Rex," I whispered. But he simply ignored me, focusing only on the door. He batted at it, nudged it with his nose. What was he doing? My throat went dry. It was as though every cell of my body was on alert. My heart raced. When I rose from bed and took a couple of steps toward the door. When I brushed my hand on the doorknob, goosebumps surfaced on my arms. The metal was cold and wet, as though someone had just handled it. I withdrew my hand immediately and looked in the room. There was nothing, but the air felt heavy. The weight of the air was hard to breathe. Rex stopped growling and looked at me with his eyes, but there was a glimmer of fear in them. This time, everything inside me shouted, "Lock your door and sleep. Calm down." But my instincts were shouting something else. "You are not alone here." I swallowed hard and locked the door. I returned to bed, but sleep was impossible. I stared at the ceiling for hours. After that night, Rex continued his strange behavior every night. But the worst came when he finally managed to open the door one night. After that, my unis grew exponentially. Rex's actions were starting to truly disturb me. I knew he was just a dog, that he could perceive things differently. But was this normal? During the day, everything seemed fine. Rex played in the yard, acting like a normal dog. But at night, exactly at 2 a.m., like clockwork, he would spring into action. I tried to apply some logic to it. Maybe there was an animal outside it. Maybe that the shadow of something leading from the wind interferes with him. But I couldn't explain the cold, humid dork knife. Eventually, I read my husband. Rex actually acts recently. He did not answer immediately. When I held my phone, I waited. Hopefully, he will give a rational explanation. A few minutes later, a message came. Dogs do this sometimes. Spontaneous things. Perhaps he thinks he protects you. A strange disappointment settled in me. Was it really that simple? No, my gut told me that Rex tried to tell me something, and I couldn't understand it. But that night, things were also strangers. I lay on the bed, a phone in my hand, but even my brain was no less than scrolling through the internet. Rex was next to me as usual. I waited for time to pass, as if I knew everything was going to start again. And as I expected it did. At 14:47, Rex suddenly lifted his head. His ears rose and his eyes closed on one corner of the room. But this time he didn't look at the door. He stared at one place on the wall. My skin creep, I bent towards him. Rex. But he didn't listen to me. His eyes were attached to the wall without an eye. His nose twitched, his breathing quickened. A few seconds later, he began to growl. But this wasn't a soft growl. It was deep and guttural, as if something threatening was right before him. I fixed my gaze on the spot where Rex was looking. There was nothing there. But was there really nothing? I looked more closely. On the wall, right where Rex was staring, was a small, round, dark spot. I wasn't sure if it had been there before. Was it dirt? Maybe a bug? But no, it looked too strange. I stood up and slowly approached the wall. Rex's growl intensified. I stopped just a few centimeters away. My whole body was tense. My heart was racing. I raised my finger, about to touch the wall when the spot shifted. Slightly, I froze in place. Could this be possible? I took a step back. In that moment, a wave of cold fear washed over me, as if something was wrapping around me like a chill wind. A logical but powerful thought surfaced in my mind. I was not alone here. Rex was no longer just growling. He was almost howling now and then. I heard a faint tapping sound coming from the other side of the wall, as if someone was inside. But that side of the wall was the exterior of the house. No one should have been there. Or so I thought. Every night, Rex's strange behavior became more overwhelming. After hours of sleeplessness and tangled thoughts, I decided to check the security camera footage the next morning. As my eyes scanned the screen, I meticulously reviewed every movement. But I have to say, what I saw was far beyond anything I had imagined. At first, while watching Rex's movements throughout the night, I thought he was still following his usual habits, sitting quietly by the bed, sometimes growling at things. But when I noticed something changing as the recording continued, I couldn't calm myself anymore. Everything suddenly became strange. Exactly at 2:47 p.m., something happened. Rex trapped his eyes, focusing on a specific place on the wall. He bowed his head, but this time in a strange way. It seemed that he was looking at me. I did not notice it for a second, but when I stopped the recording and went back to that frame, I was forced to face fear. Was I sleeping, or I was really moving forward? In the slow-moving footage, something strange was around 3:10 p.m. I saw myself going out of bed quietly. My steps were calm and silent, yet Rex saw every step closely. as if he saw something or was having an emotional relationship. I felt that this kind of strange thing is impossible to happen, but after a minute, something shocking happened. My sleepwalking steps changed as I had a purpose. I was moving directly towards the dark corner of the room. The most disturbing part was that Rex was following me. Can a dog really track my movements so closely? Especially at night, as he always did. I studied the footage more carefully. As the night progressed, my body movements reflected each other strangely. Was I sleeping or something else? But the most scary part was when I not only focused on Rex, but I had to close my eyes and make strange movement. In my attitude and movements, I saw Rex's expression was also changing. Could a dog see his owner in such a way that they were sleeping? Every night with the arrival of midnight, this strange cycle continued. Rex started his usual routine at exactly 2:00 a.m., but this time I felt something was different. One night I was so tense that I kept my eyes open and didn't sleep, waiting to see what would happen. After a while, I checked the footage again to see what had occurred in the room. At the peak of my fear, I heard a strange creak. It didn't sound like movement in the house, but more like the presence of something. At that moment, I stopped watching the footage and started looking around. As the night wore on, I could feel that something wasn't right in every corner of the house. But what was it? All these observations were darkening my mind even further. Was this just paranoia, or was there a real threat? At that moment, just as I looked away from the recording, I heard another strange sound from the depths of the room. It sounded like someone was breathing. I quickly looked around, but there was nothing at the spot where Rex had been staring. There was a sense of darkness, of emptiness. I backed away from the footage, but the sound still echoed in my ears, like someone silently wandering the room. Throughout the night, I took a deep breath, but it felt like the whole room had changed. With that breath, my thoughts became a whirlwind. Why was Rex so alert and focused? What was in that spot? Was this just a hallucination, or did everything recorded that night have a deeper meaning? When I stopped the security footage, I saw a mixture of fear and concern in Rex's eyes. Everything had come a reality. Something was missing but what she had felt herself. Slowly losing her mind in the past few days, every night, she saw the strange behavior in Rex and how it increased her fear, growing up in her mind day after day. What was it? Wasn't it just a dog? Initially, she had completely associated the weirdness in the house with the unusual behavior of Rex, but for the past week or so, somewhere even more than that, maybe a feeling knowing in an alarmed way, she started understanding that Rex had indeed sensed something and was trying to keep her safe. Little by little, she came to realize that Rex is particular and constant. Gazing onto a certain spot each night was a warning, a protective reflex in that case. Rex did not want to terrify her at all. He just wanted her to wake up, but to her nothing made sense, because she couldn't understand the oddities with her dog. One desperate day, she decided to closely observe Rex's movements. The terrifying thoughts that kept growing in her mind made her follow him. One more night passed, and with bloodshot eyes from the countless hours of sleeplessness, she again activated the hidden cameras to record every movement. This time, instead of sleeping all through the night, she would keep her eyes open till morning, out of sheer will, to find out if all actually happened before her eyes. The next morning, her eyes were swollen from lack of sleep, but as she looked at the footage, she realized nothing would ever be the same. What she saw slowly began to unfold on the screen. She started the recording, and everything that had happened throughout the night was connected. Rex had been growling at something in his usual manner, but this time there was something more. As she watched the footage, she noticed a shadow following Rex's every move. A stranger. In the following moments, she saw how every time Rex lowered his head, the woman would carefully move toward her room's door, knocking but never approaching. Was this man unable to see her? Why hadn't Rex reacted to him? Was Rex truly warning her? As she focused on the footage, her skin prickled. Everything clicked into place. That man had been hiding inside the house. He had been living in the attic, sneaking into her room at night, watching her, and sometimes disappearing into the darkness of the attic, like a ghost. Rex hadn't been warning her, but the stranger... It was so clear now, every move, every look, every alert was more than just Rex's bond with her. Rex had been trying to protect her. But why? Who was this man? And why did he only appear at night? A dreadful experience, especially in the stillness of the attic, with the woman's fears striking her brain like a scream. Her thoughts were deviating by more thoughts, about telling her husband what she saw in the video, and instantly calling the police. You had to make sure that night. Whatever had to happen, the man had to be thrown out of the house. She was desperate enough to catch the phone and dial the authorities. On the police arriving, the husband, who was horrified at what he saw, was ready to narrate the whole episode. His face had gone pale from fear, but the loneliest purpose was served. There was someone, a stranger in the house, hiding silently every night and watching her every move. The only thought was that all this was aimed at psychologically tormenting her. But Rex had done his best to protect her from it. He was caught off guard in his entrapment as they pulled the man out the attic. The house went on normally now, but the gaping absence of Rex would constantly remind the woman of one irreplaceable truth. Rex was more than a dog. He was a real guardian. Though she was shaken, she somehow calmed. But the nights would be etched in her mind forever. Every night. It was Rex's eerie calls and pleas that had saved her life. A protector, a loyal friend, a family member. Rex was all that. However, she pondered if Rex hadn't played wake-up that night. What would have happened? Just how much graver could that unknown stranger have done? She thought it was all over, but still something was missing. Had it all really ended? The woman realized that all was for a reason when she started sleeping next to Rex every night. She had finally embraced her past fears. The nights she lived and days she spent allowed her to sense how Rex protected her and sensed hidden danger. That dog was no longer a pet. He was now the most precious thing in her life, her friend, her protector, and perhaps even a true member of her family. The loneliness she once felt was somehow soothed by Rex's presence. She had filled the emptiness of her existence with this faithful companion who never abandoned her. She had in the past wondered why loneliness would eat up a person. But now Rex's presence countered her fears and gave her strength. She realized that she was no longer alone. In even the darkest moments of her life, Rex's presence was like a shining light. The loneliness that had overwhelmed her previously now became understandable, since she understood that loneliness was transient. Rex not only befriended her, but also guided her through the toughest times. The woman decided to inform her husband of this transformation. Yes, she had suffered loneliness for so long, but now with the faith Rex had put in her, she was ready to start anew. She informed her husband of everything, stating that they had reached a turning point in their lives. Her husband, in tears, could hardly believe what she was saying. After all the hardships, they were now ready to start fresh together. They understood how Rex's help had changed their lives. They weren't alone anymore, because they had each other and their loyal companion. The woman realized in that moment that sometimes the darkest parts of life reveal the most valuable things. Fear and worry can break you, but they also show you what really matters. True friendship and true loyalty can come from an ordinary dog. With every act of love and devotion, Rex showed the woman he had truly taught them the meaning of life. A dog doesn't just show love and loyalty, it can also sense danger before it strikes. Rex had taught her this with every move he made. Finally, the woman decided to leave her past fears behind. She looked to the future stronger and more hopeful than ever. She recognized that Rex wasn't just an animal, but a real protector and one of the most precious beings in her life. Her love for her husband and Rex was now beyond everything else. One morning, as the woman awoke to sunlight, a new chapter in her life began. She had learned the true meaning of friendship and love. Rex had saved her life. He wasn't just a dog, he was family above all. She realized that in life, The importance of true and loyal friends cannot be overstated. And finally, she thought about how those terrifying days were behind them, and how Rex had shown her the world she lived in, while her husband had gained a new awareness. It was time to live life together again. The woman stroked Rex's head, thanking him once more. They were no longer alone.